trust you all well, and you had a wonderful time of praise and worship, but also a wonderful time of enjoying the dance. I observed that there are people who could not be combined with each other, wakitoka hapa mbele, because their dancing style is very unique. I think they are just trying to safeguard each other, but they have done a good job. Yeah, so it's a great joy for me to be here to speak God's word with us. And I want to correct something I said in the first service about Ezra. And I think the level of excitement is too high. I said that the deadline is today, and I'm very sorry for it is not today. I think in my mind, I think this is the last Sunday, but the deadline is 31st, the end of October. So the encouragement is that let's all register. And the reason why there are deadlines as you're planning the conferences is because the cabinet needs to know the number. So that's why we say that let's have a deadline so that we can plan with the venue with the idea. But it is not today. And maybe during the chair declaration can get to the members of the first service. May they know that the speaker is sorry, and it can be said that it is his level of excitement that made him to do that mistake. But let's all plan to come for a conference. I believe it's going to be a wonderful experience to learn, to connect, to gel with other like 3,000 other students as we meet them at this conference. Before I share God's word, maybe I know that I'm not the only focus staff in the room. Probably Gamaliel and David can come and just say jambo. We are going to share the minutes we have, that's fine. So you can come and say jambo. Because you'll be there here. Yeah, Gamaliel and David just come and preach God's word. Are you going to appreciate your
Jambo. I will not say jambo. I'm Gamaliel. In general, I serve as the focus staff here as STEM staff, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for purposing to be here. May the Lord bless you and do you well. You are good people in your maana sana.
I have a star saying it's Nana to be the house of God. My name is David Uriah, and I'm born again this morning. I have great joy to be part of this family, serving together with you as the campus ministry facilitator and the focus care, Fellowship of Christian Union, serving together with him. And we are delighted to have our student minister joining us today. Let's continue registering for Ezra. Thank you.
Asante sana. Yeah, I told the first service that this is my second time to come to SEKUCU. The first one around 9 years ago. Around January of 2014, I was given a chance to come and preach. And it was with a lot of joy to come and preach. And things have really changed from the way they were then. So coming down here 9 years down the line, it was very refreshing, exciting, the hospitality and the job. Looking forward to the time I will spend before I leave to go back to Nairobi. Yes, it has been said, I work with focus, and the information just to encourage us to continually know that this ministry of focus is our ministry. Someone was saying somewhere that Fellowship of Christian Unions, that if you remove SEKU, remove Machakos, remove Thankyou, it will fall down like a house of cards. Because focus starts with just facilitating the work. But it's the students who are the key stakeholders that are the center of this work. But we are very grateful that we have continued to allow Gamaliel to serve here, to serve you guys, but also David Uriah to be a CMF, to serve amongst you. I also serve as a CMF for Medical School, University of Nairobi, and Kenya Science, University of Nairobi, and Strathmore. And it's a great joy to serve among students. But just do that for the last 10 years. And it's very refreshing to see what God is doing among the students. I was requested to speak to us on the topic leadership and mentorship. Leadership and mentorship. And that's what I will do by the grace of God. And I will do 4 main things in my sermon this morning. I'm going to do an introduction that is going to help us appreciate where we are coming from when we think about leadership, but also when we think about mentorship. Then I'm going to reflect together with us from the scriptures, drawing from the words of Paul to his spiritual son Timothy. And then we are going to ask ourselves, what are some of the effective leader? If I want to lead well, what are some of the things I need not to drop along the way so that I can be able to be impactful and a leader with a transformative agenda? But then before we conclude, we are going to ask ourselves, how can I grow in my leadership through mentorship? Where is the place of mentorship in becoming a better leader as I serve the Lord? And then we are going to have an epilogue just challenging us and in concluding with a challenge that we cannot do something as far as leadership issues are concerned. And as I said in the first service, I know we are in a transition period, and most probably that's why this topic fits in a week just before the ATM. But I just want to encourage us that this sermon is not primarily intended for those going to hold leadership positions, but it is meant to challenge us, even in our own capacities as leaders, to start reflect on what would be God's desire for us as far as leadership is concerned. Because you could be here, you're not going to lead in the CU with a position, you're not in the exec, and your time here, exec does not have chances for anyone. You may not serve in the subcommittee, for example, but you come from a local church, and that local church is demanding for you to do something. The youth there look up to you. They know you have gone to the university, they know you have learned many things, and they're looking up to you to introduce many new things to them, and mentor them, and raise them, and be their leader. We have to come from families, and one reason or the other, the families where we come from, there are needs that can only be addressed through leadership. Some of us, maybe the call of God upon you, even after this sermon, is that could you arise and do something in your family? Could be in your nuclear family, your extended family. Maybe the Lord is placing upon your burden to actually start responding to some of the issues in your family that no one has responded about. And maybe someone is going to charge you to do something about that. But also it could be here that God may place a burden on you to do something in your society. You just go back and say, things cannot remain the same in my community. I'm going to do something for the glory and honor of the Lord. And think about leadership. There are many models that are advanced by different leadership scholars as far as leadership is concerned. I only have 4 of them here, but they can be many. One is what they call situational leadership model. Situational leadership model is a leadership model where you get into a situation and someone needs to do something. We're in a situation, something must be fixed, no one is doing something, but you rise up, and in that situation, you address a need that has just come. So it ends up being a very practical kind of a leadership model because you are addressing a challenge, for example, that has just arisen. But it is something that comes and passes. And many times, those who have practiced leadership in other places are usually the ones who are courageous enough to rise up and do something when situational leadership is called upon. But the other leadership model is what we call transformational leadership model. Transformational leadership model is a leadership model that looks at a problem and says, something must be done here. This situation must change. We want transformation here. What can be done? So the first question starts to be asked, that model is where we look at a challenge and we say, we want to address this. It will not be done today, it will not be concluded tomorrow, it will not be concluded next semester, but something needs to be done. And we rise up and say, we want to transform what we're seeing here. The other one is transactional leadership model. And this is unfortunately what we see in some of the spaces like, some places like politics, where the former will do to us something, the former will respond positively if the leader does A and B. If the leader doesn't do it, we are not going to do it. We are only here because we are what we are getting. And therefore, the leader can be a bit manipulative to the people he or she is leading, and the followers can be punished for not responding to what the leader is saying. But we also see Jesus Christ proposing the servant leadership model, where Jesus says the master is not at the center, the servant is the master, and the follower is at the center. And we saw Jesus demonstrate that where he took a towel and washed the feet of the disciples. A very demeaning, quote-unquote, that could only be done by the slaves in the house of their masters. When the visitors would come, the dusty roads in the desert, they come with dirty feet. The first thing to be done at the entrance of the house was that the servants would come and wash the feet of the guests as they come in. And Jesus, being their master, their rabbi, someone they held in very high regard, the Bible tells us he took the towel and washed their feet. And through that, Jesus proposed to us the place of servant leadership, where the power pyramid is turned upside down, and the leader is down, and the follower are up there. And the leader thinks about the needs that the members have and is asking, how can I serve my followers in a better way? Within the Christian setup, when you interact with some of these models, and there can be many, we actually say that God has invited us to servant leadership. God has invited us to transformational leadership. Leadership are actually looked at an issue and say something must be done. Servant leadership where the leader is not at the center. I see I'm happy to see the regard with which we hold our executive committee members. But the truth is, in servant leadership, as it is in the city, it is that the leaders, though we hold them with high value, we continue that their posture is that you, the members, are actually the people that are the center and they desire the level best to work with you and to be a blessing to you. As an introductory way, let me make a comment about mentorship. Someone called Ngugi2 has said that mentorship is a process where one opens their life to other people. It is where you are not closing yourself in, but you open yourself so that someone else around you can learn from you. He goes on to say it is sharing our life with other people. It is letting another person know the mistakes you have made, the habits you have had, the journey you have taken, and giving them a chance to learn from you. But also it says it's a process of living for the next generation. It is where we shape the next generation through mentorship. It is where as a founding to say, I will be a blessing to us first year, so that he or she is not going to get to the portals I called them to them when I was the first year. It is saying that I have left many in my community that, they're in high school, and you going back and saying, I will organize to pour my heart to these guys here, so that when they have left, they will actually they will see what God can do. And remember, when I finished STEM in 2013, the church where I was fellowshipping in Nairobi, the pastor gave me a chance to minister among the teenagers. There was no such a forum in the church. There was only the Sunday school and the youth and the main church. And there was a growing number of young people who are teens, and they needed some level of ministry. The pastor asked me to do that. And interestingly, by God's grace, I did it to the point when I was leaving the church to go to Nakuru in June 2014 as a joint focus as a long-term staff. There was even a certificate given to me, and I think it was written by Pastor Guru, because I knew the level of engagement that I had with these teenagers. And very exciting that in the cohort of STEM staff that just finished, there was a lady there called Precious Kirogo. Precious Kirogo was among the teens that was serving in the church. Right now she's doing her second term as a STEM staff in Norway. And among the young, just about to join high school, very young girls there in their teens, very many questions. I got down to them and poured my heart. And when you interact with Precious, I also had a privilege to meet her just before she went to Norway. And the exciting thing is to see that I had a chance to pour my heart, to be vulnerable to them, and now see what God is doing through that girl. So it is pouring your heart to the next generation, shaping the next generation through the things that you do to them. And someone also say that mentorship is a relationship where the experienced or more knowledgeable person speaks to the life of a less knowledgeable person and tries to guide them on a matter. And by the way, mentorship is not only necessarily the older mentoring the younger. I know John Lala has written a number of books, and I've read a few of them here. And he said that he also is mentored by young people. He was giving the example of technology, saying that he was so keen on technology issues, but he has been mentored by many young people on how to understand issues of technology. But there's something John Maxwell, who has done many things about leadership, that I can recommend him for you to read. He says that mentorship is only possible when a person has a head full of experience, but also a heart full of generosity. is when a person has a lot of experience but is generous enough to speak to another person and mentor. So mentorship is not a complex thing. It is just saying that I know something that I can pass on to someone else. And later we'll be commenting about some of the ways that mentorship can happen, so that at least you can know that this is how you can carry this on. But I think for me is to say that when you think about yourself as a leader, how you can be a better leader, how you can influence, we must embrace mentorship, because we cannot walk alone and influence. If you want to influence society, there could be a pastor in your village or in the village next there that has done something and has contributed significantly in shaping the society. Even the CEO, as an incoming executive committee, you must desire to hear from the one who has gone before you and know which are the gaps that I need to be aware of. So thinking yourself as a leader or desiring to grow in leadership, you cannot ignore the place of mentorship, the place of hearing from someone else. And now I want to help us to pray together from the scriptures. And we are going to read 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. These are the words of Paul speaking to his son Timothy, and he is speaking to him about leadership and the kind of qualities that leaders should bear as they lead the people of God. The word of God says, verses 1 of chapter 3, here is a trustworthy saying, whoever aspires to be an overseer desires an overtask. Now the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. Verse 4, he must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him, and he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. If anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? That question is in parentheses for my version here. Then verse 6, he must not be a reasoned convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders, and so that he will not fall into disgrace and evil's trap. If you put yourself in the shoes of Apostle Paul, having done ministry in a very extensive way, and his time to live is here, and he is pouring his heart to Timothy, so that Timothy will put in place the right leaders, so that the work Paul has labored to do is not watered down. You must connect with Paul's heart. That Paul knew that if this thing gets done wrongly, it is going to impact the ministry he has done in a very negative way. And I think that's the same posture we need to have as we reflect around this text today. To those coming into leadership positions and to those who are serving in the CU, but also to those who desire and aspire to be Christian leaders outside there in the spaces I started by mentioning. That these qualities apply to us in a very clear and precise way. And I have processed them slightly more, and I've picked 4 or 5 or 6 qualifications that I see Paul bringing out from this text that I will propose to us. I think, as you desire to be a leader, as you desire to influence this generation, and I have a book in my drawer that is called Too Many Leaders, Too Little Leadership. And that in my own view, is a reality we are also confronted with today. It is possible to have too many leaders and too little leadership, especially when we have leaders who, for one reason or the other, meet some of these qualifications that Paul will be talking about, but also some of the things that we'll be discussing as we move on. But the first qualification I see Paul proposed for leaders to have is what I would call social qualification. Social qualification. When Paul says a statement like, a leader should be above reproach, a leader should have good reputation. That this reputation is with the believers and non-believers. If you want to influence your space as a leader, in this Christian union, but also in other spaces outside here, then you must work keenly your social life. You must work keenly how you engage with people. You must work keenly your character. You must watch keenly your engagement with others. I know within the context of the Christian Union, it might be a bit different in the context of a local church, because Paul had the context of a local church, bringing out the issues even of family and all that. But I think for us, I know one of the biggest things that stands in the way of the leaders to be able to influence positively, it is when they get it from the place of connecting with others. Social life that you bear as a leader is so critical that if you don't get it right there, you lose the ability to offer leadership. And I think for me, I am not peradventure, and I cannot, as a focus staff, say that we are saying that as a leader, you should not be in a gender relationship and those kind of things. But I'm actually saying that your pedestal as a leader is higher lifted up. You know, your standard is higher lifted up. How do you Christianity? It's possible to be good when people are seeing as a leader, people will see you. But one of the scenarios that one of the story that helped me reflect on that issue slightly more, it is a story given of a village that had a big mogumo tree. Those who come from Central, they know those mogumo trees, they are very big. And many of the times even barazas meet at the mogumo tree. If people want shelter, they go to the mogumo tree. But there is one village where there was a big mogumo tree and people held it to very high garden. But there was some time, there was some rains and some wind over the night, and when people came in the morning, the mogumo tree had fell down. And they started to ask each other, how can this mogumo tree fall? And when it's big. And they started to say, and the wind yesterday was not too much. How come it brought down the mogumo tree? And some others say, no, this must be witchcraft. This mogumo tree falling down must be a big thing. But some other people say, but how comes it's only the mogumo tree that fell? Other smaller trees did not fall. The mogumo tree fell. So they decided to get closer to the mogumo tree. But when they got there, the mogumo tree was big, looking beautiful, but when they checked inside, it was horrible. Some insects had gotten in for many years, they had eaten it from inside. It was horrible. It was a hole. And that's why it was too big, but it was looking glorious. I just want to mention to us that as a leader, as a Christian leader, and even foremost as a leader, as a Christian who loves the Lord and walks with the Lord, you must watch your moral standing. Because if you don't arrest those small things that eat from the inside, it is just a matter of time. There will be wind that you will be brought down, even if the other trees will be left standing. So we must watch our moral standing. But number 3 is our mental qualification. Our mental qualification. Our ability to engage things from an intellectual perspective. And I think for us as leaders within the context of the university, it is upon us a big burden to lead intellectually. And we must be able to engage things from that perspective. We must be able to read and strengthen and challenge our mind, to be able to reflect on our issues. Because some of the questions that we need to respond to, especially in this to the executive committee and the subcommittees that are even coming to office, God has given us a chance to lead our peers. We must be able to stand in a level of ability to engage issues as they come. The other thing that Paul talks about is what I would call personality qualification. Personality qualification. You know, Paul reminds his son Timothy that this leader must be hospitable. This leader must be able to openly engage with people, openly allow people in. Many times when you interact with leaders, they tell you, my personality does not allow me to be where people are, my personality allows me to be quiet, my personality, and it's okay to quote some of those things, but you should be working on them. As you lead, there must be some level of your ability to deal with your personality so that people are not concerned with how you engage with them. Like that issue of hospitality. Be hospitable, be welcoming. Even if your personality is you are as quiet as what, you are introverted to the core, there should be some component of letting people know that they are welcome to engage with you. You cannot be able to lead other people if you're not able to deal with some of these things. But the last one is the issue, the second last is the issue of domestic qualification. Actually, Paul puts it very clear that if you cannot take care of your family, he actually says that who cannot take care of their family cannot be a leader here. And I think the same thing applies to us. If you cannot deal with your own issues, you have no more authority to deal with the issues of others. If you cannot keep your house tidy, you have no more authority to purport to keep the house of the Lord here tidy. You must be able to address your own issues. Yes, excuse me. So when you think about leadership, at the core of it is first you lead itself. I was quoting in the morning that we had a leader, we had someone, the vice chancellor of the International Leadership University in Nairobi, speaking to our NASEC members on essentials of high impact leaders. What are some of the qualities that we see with high impact leaders? High impact leaders take 50% of their time leading itself. 50% of their time leading itself, 20% of their time they take it leading those above them. 50% of their time they take it leading their peers, and 50% of their time they take it leading those below them. But please note that they take 50% leading self. If you cannot lead self, you cannot manage your own self, you have no ability to lead the body of Christ. But the last one we see Paul talking about the place of maturity, and he says that a leader must not be a lizard convert, for he can be conceited, for he can be misguided, he can miss the mark so easily, therefore brings the place of growth. And I think for me, as I was saying in the first service, we may not say here that you must have been born again for 5 years, for 7 years, for you to lead. We may not be able to really quantify that time that way. Of course, we may not say you got born again this semester when you are the 10. I will see, we will say, no, grow a bit. But we also are talking about maturity in terms of how the qualities of a leader are well embedded in you. And I think for me, the major issue I see here is that Paul challenging us to Christian growth. We all must be designed to grow and develop deep roots that helps us to be able to stand when the storm comes. Because as a leader, storms will always come. What are some of the qualities of an effective leader? As you think about your call to leadership, what are some of the things that must be put at the core of your ministry so that you can be a leader with effectiveness and an efficient leader, a transformative one for that matter? I want to share 5 things that I draw from the ministry of John Stott. Reverend Dr. John Stott served for many years, about 90 years. And he also served as the chaplain of the Queen of England for many years. And he passed on not long ago. He was actually the first expositor of mission in 1988. So he has served among students for many years. He has written a book which is called Issues Facing Christianity Today. It's a big book, Issues Facing Christianity Today. And please allow me to lower my voice because of the cough. Issues Facing Christianity Today. And at the end, he discusses 5 qualities that he thinks those who are able to address the issues that are facing Christians today must bear those things. And those are the things I want to propose to us, and then we look at mentorship as we make this topic. One is the place of vision. The place of vision. And John Stott says that vision is the ability to be dissatisfied with what is the current status and having an image of how the alternative look like. It is Edward standing here and knowing that I have a problem with this plastic seat here, and I have an idea where they should be there. And I have an image of how it should look like if these plastic seats are moved from here to there. So John Stott says vision is the ability to envision how another thing could be done, that something could be done differently. How this podium can be moved from here to be there and to serve the church better when it is there. And we see this in many of the biblical characters. We see this in Moses. We see this in Nehemiah. In Nehemiah, when he hears the state of the wall, he imagines immediately how Jerusalem would be if the wall was raised up. And that's the same thing, that when a leader has a vision, that leader is effective. If you lead visionless, you are not going to impact anything. If you come here, you can never look at this pulpit and wonder where else can it be. You can never look at this seat and ask where else can they be. You can never look at your society and say, what can be done differently in your society? What can be done differently by the rock of time? What could be done differently in my praise and worship ministry that I'm called to lead? If you cannot envision a difference, you may not be able to lead and lead God's people well. And apart from vision, he says that the second thing that an effective leader must have is hard work, or what he calls action. That a leader must be able to envision how things can be different, but also a leader must be willing to do something. And it is unfortunate that many of us who want to do something start with a vision but choose not to act on it. You must be willing to do something. Nehemiah was willing to write a letter, to request for permission to go, to even request for timber and other things. When you think about the leadership, you must ask, am I willing to do something? Things are not okay in your local church. Things are not okay in the ministry God has called you to lead here. You are the incumbent here. Things are not as it ought to be. The question is, are you willing to do something? That if it stops at vision, we have not achieved what God would be desirous for us to do. But number 3 is that we should not only have a vision and desire to have an action, but also we must be willing to persevere. We must be willing to persevere. When we think about leadership attracts challenges. That you must be willing to say that I know this pulpit can be there, I'm willing to carry it, and even if no one else comes to help me, I will stretch my muscles and carry it. I know that these ministry members are 10, I need to make them 15 in the Best B program. Only 10 are becoming for Best B, those are hypothetical examples. Only 10 are coming for Best B. I want to make this 20. But you may find yourself, you have to even use your own credit to call them. Are you willing to pay that cost? In the first service, I was sharing about the life of Sir William Wilberforce. And since Sir William Wilberforce was a Briton, and around 1787, he decided to actually push an agenda for the abolishment of slave trade. And he knew it's not going to be easy, because slave trade is like today, you decide that you're going to abolish all the 14 matatu sita in our country. I can tell you it's going to be an uphill task. And so those are some of the things that, but slave trade was big. It was a global phenomenon. The Britons were getting slaves from Africa and taking them there. But he felt dissatisfied and he said, I must do something. And in 1787, he placed a motion in the House of Commons in Britain and said, I am placing this motion for abolishment of slavery. 2 years down the line, he actually reflected on this thing and said, it is so huge. This assignment I'm taking is so huge. But I am so convinced I have a vision, I want to take action, I must do something for abolishment of this slavery. I am willing to pay the cost. He actually said that I looked at this, I knew the consequences, but I determined that I would never rest until I had effected its abolishment. You know, someone who is so convinced in their course of leadership that says, even if there will be challenges, I'll do something. And I can tell you, it was until 44 years down the line, laboring and pushing that the abolishment became a reality. And the British government was even willing to compensate the slave owners who released their slaves to leave Britain. But it says that it is at that point of the abolishment that he said that he was grateful to God that he was able to witness the day of that abolishment. But 3 days later, he passed on, but he was grateful that he fought that battle with courage. I think for me it's to encourage us, and on this one, I want to press this slightly more and say, many of the times that God will desire us to do something, we give up because we are not ready to persevere slightly more. And I want to say that if you want to be a leader with an impact, you must be saying that I'm willing to pay the cost, I'm willing to do something, I'm not going to give up in the first challenge that I get. I don't know whether this Christian people resign, but I have also seen where people resign from leadership because they say leadership is difficult. But I know sometimes you get to a point that you may actually have to resign. But before you resign, please read about the lives of Nehemiah. That Nehemiah, when he went to build the wall, it got to a point that Sanballat and the others could not allow him. And he had to tell the people who are building with that one hand should hold what? Whatever you're using to build. And They have to hold what? The weapon. And they could do that. They did not say, there is a lot of discouragement. There are people coming to attack us in the night. We're not going to build the wall again. But Nehemiah encouraged them to know that even amidst those challenges, they were still going to build the wall. So I want to encourage you to do this and do it faithfully, even if it's going to be hard, and I know it's not going to be easy. But the fourth thing that he mentions is the place of service. That as you think about vision and action and perseverance, your leadership must be informed by service. Many times people can lead so that others can see, others can appreciate you, others can acknowledge you. But true leadership is catalyzed by service. It is saying the reason why Nehemiah is saying they must rebuild the wall is because he saw when the walls are up, the people of Jerusalem will be in a better place. For me, the reason I would, as a leader, would say I'm moving this movie from here to there. It is not so that you say that it is during Edward's time that the pulpit moved from point X to point Y. It's not about that. It is about that I know deep within my heart, if this pulpit is not here, it is here, God's people will be served in a better way. It is about service. That's the motivation. That's the big thing that guides one to do that. Then the question is, are you serving other people? In whatever you're doing, please know that the approach and the attitude should be service to other people. But lastly, it talks about discipline, and he encourages that let there be discipline in the leader. And I can actually assure us this morning that discipline is one of the greatest things that a leader can have in their pocket as they lead. We are dealing with the people nowadays with a lot of superficiality. There's a lot of superficiality in how people do things. But I want to invite you to actually live a life where there are some things that are non-negotiable for you. There are some disciplines that are non-negotiable for you. And especially as a Christian leader, there must be things like, some Christian disciplines that you bear in your heart that you cannot negotiate about. I'm sorry. So those 5 thoughts are the things that John Stott proposes and says that the issues facing Christianity today are going to be addressed by people willing to commit to some of these 5 things. And I invite us to actually process those things and say we are going to commit to them as the Lord will let them. But how do you grow your leadership through mentorship? How do you grow your leadership through mentorship? Allow me to discuss a few things about mentorship, and then we'll bring this to a close with an epilogue that will challenge us to think about leadership in our city. The first thing I want to mention about leadership is that as you think about growing with leadership in mentorship, you must know that mentorship always takes various forms. The first one is I gave a few examples around mentorship, but I can assure us that mentorship can be formal or informal. You can mentor that first year, when you're meeting every week on Tuesday, but also you can mentor them informally, but you consciously know that you're working with them. And it's not a matter you have agreed on 5 things that you're working on. That you need to talk about your prayer life, talk about your reading of God's word. Even if that's not how ordered it is, you can actually also engage mentorship in a very informal way. You just pick an issue, you engage. You maybe just encourage the first year. Maybe it's people in your local church, maybe it's the members of the ministry that you're leading as an exec. You can actually do it informally. But also, mentorship can be peer mentorship. And it's many a times when we think about mentorship, we look at another person mentoring you. But even at our peers, there are people who can call us out on areas. As a leader, they tell you, by the way, you are not taking care of your studies. And if you continue this way, you are going to fail. And that's why I want to encourage you this morning, that the glory you bring to the Lord by being a faithful leader here, by ensuring that you don't get late for service, it is the same glory that you bring in when you pass your exams. Sacrificing your exam on the altar of service is ungodly. It is ungodly missing classes because you are running up and down to fix things. You need to plan yourself so much. You need to learn to say no where you cannot, balance. But I want to encourage you that it is not right to look at the end. And by the way, what happens is that you may hate leadership. You may hate leadership, but then you may look at it and say, someone is calling you to lead in the church, and you say, I don't want to lead. Because you end up being bitter after you led in the city and you failed. I want to encourage you to really balance your studies. And the other area that as leaders, you can keep each other accountable. It is good, even though in those same groups, in those Bible study groups, to even ask each other how you're doing in your studies. Because I know many of us as students, we may be challenged to balance the ability to be a good Christian leader and a good student. A CU leader who comes late in class, anakopi notes kila siku kwa sababu hakukuwa class, you are not glorifying our Lord Jesus Christ. So I want to encourage us to know that we can peer mentor each other. One thing I found peer mentorship working very well for me as a student is on the issues of relationship. And I was giving the first service examples of how we peer mentor each other as far as relationships are concerned with my roommates. And I can tell you, it was fun. It was fun that it worked when they would call you out and encourage you on an area. Please ask yourself, who is peer mentoring me? And those relationships, by the way, cross-gender relationships, also mentor each other. If you know 3 or 4 couples, come together and start challenging each other. It's very helpful. And we even do it, even for me as a married person, like in a group, I have a group of 3 other couples. So we are usually 8. So even men, we have our own WhatsApp group and we challenge each other. So because peer mentorship is important, we tell the guy, we have a bit of mentorship, you need to change. And we are all born again and we love the Lord. But you cannot walk alone and think that you're going to make it for long. Well, that's what's the second. But also mentorship must be within the context of biblical principles. When you think about mentorship, we are mentoring others with the goal of godliness and with the goal of challenging them for Christian effective living or effective Christian living. The mentorship that we're talking about here, it is not mentoring one for yourself. It is not a brother, you are in that year or you are in 4th year and you see a beautiful second year and you keep telling us you're mentoring her and you don't keep within your heart. You are trying to get her to be your girlfriend. If it is about your girlfriend, so be it, jitetee, vizuri, but not to let a mentorship. And we want to manage these, one as but also mentorship is not about spiritual fathers and spiritual mothers. And I want to mention is that there is nothing wrong with the term spiritual father or the term spiritual mother. There is nothing wrong with that for me. What I don't like about that is when it is made that I want you to become like me. You are not mentoring someone to become like you. You are mentoring someone to become more like Christ in their own context. So you are not mentoring the first year so that, when you look back and you say, I have sold all these sons and daughters, it is okay to actually call them that way, sons and daughters, but in the meaning of the word, I have a problem. But I believe that the right mentorship is that when they grow, they will love the Lord more, but even if they don't associate with you, it is fine. The only problem is that this bit of fatherhood and mother leaves a lot of entanglement that the person may also not be able to speak on their own and be able to have their own independent mind. But very quickly, what are some of the qualities that are desirable for a mentor? If you are looking for someone who can mentor you, then you are looking for someone who is a role model, someone whose life you can emulate, someone whose life you can admire. There are things about their life that you really want, that you also get. So maybe the person is such a good leader. Maybe you look at the way they are runners, you wonder, how comes they do all these things and there is no time they look like they're in a hurry. I know most of us know Bishop Ngugi2, the immediate former Bishop of Sitam and currently the chair of EACC. One of the things that people have interacted with Bishop Ngugi2 talk about is that you even know that he has a lot on his desk to deliver, but there's no single time he looks like he's highly sweating, and the hammer, and etc. He looks so orderly. And I think people who have said that they have desired to actually be mentored by him, it is just to be able to understand how he's able to balance so many bonds that actually are not easy for many people to balance. But also, when you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for someone who is willing to invest their life in your life. They are willing to be there for you, to share their skill, their knowledge, their expertise, to just be a blessing to you. If you are a second year and you're looking for a 4th year who can mentor you are looking for someone who you know they are going to be willing to invest their life in you, but also someone who is willing to be objective. And I think this is what I find challenge in that component of motherhood and fatherhood where the objectivity is lost. If you are wrong, I need to tell you are wrong as a mentor. If you are right, I need to tell you do right. And the moment you find yourself uncomfortable because you have been told you did A and B wrong, you have a lot of growing to do. Hallelujah. You have a lot of growing to do. Let me give you an example. Just after this sermon, when you went to take tea with the leaders, the first question I asked, please tell me what I did right and what I did wrong, and I want to know what I did wrong so that I improve on it. And I think, and that question is okay, and I don't want to feel intimidated. Because ultimately you want to serve the Lord in a better way. So if you are a leader of a ministry, we tell you, by the way, you are not handling the other committee members well. Be faithful, be willing to actually say, by the way, let me work on that. So you must be willing to actually listen to feedback, but also you must be willing to seek for advice. Sometimes leaders can be self-contained, which is not good. That is a mentee, as one wants to grow, you must actually be willing to seek for advice. But also, you must be vulnerable. You must be willing to be open. You cannot be mentored if you're not willing to share your struggles with the person to whom you want to get mentorship. If you want to grow on an area, you must actually be willing to say, Edward, this area of struggle is balance. How can I have this? The area of struggle is bitterness. The area of struggle is being impatient. But you must be open. But I know as a student you have the access of many people who can mentor you. The Christian Union alumni, when they come here, or like the first year, they had a forum yesterday with the Focus Associate, Gamaliel is here, David is here. I have really enjoyed, as I bring this to a close, I've really enjoyed those mentorship experiences I've had as a Focus staff. And I can be a bit vulnerable and say, my wife and I have vested 6 weddings so far. For the last 7 years we've been married. And all the 7 weddings we've vested are weddings of guys with our family, our extend, we got to connect, and we got to do life together. And I think for me, I want to encourage you that if you know that someone else knows something you can learn from them, please do go and learn and understand from them. As I conclude in the minute that I have, I want to say 4 things that to me are implications for you having listened to this sermon. One is that I want to encourage you to develop yourself in matters leadership. Please do something to grow your leadership skills. If it is a book you can read on leadership, go for it, read it. And please don't say that, for me I don't have a position. No, there is a lot of leadership without positions. I want to invite you, and I remember saying 50% of leadership is leading self. Please invest on that area. If it is about listening to, podcasts, the other day I was listening to a podcast by, John Maxwell, and he was saying many things, and, boring, I don't go to that because of time. But you will learn a lot. If it is a podcast, if it is a book, if it is a clip, please, I know we listen to some, many of the things we listen for entertainment are good, but please also make a commitment. Out of this sermon, make a commitment and say, thank you everyone for doing that sermon, but I want to get a book, I want to get a mentor who can speak into my life and challenge me to be a better leader. I want to lead self better. How can I do that? Let me get a mentor who can work with me. But number 2, I want to invite you to make a commitment to support the leaders who are within our circles. Apart from investing in your own leadership, get to make a commitment. And I'm going to support the leaders whom God has given us, especially given that we are in a leadership process, transition. Commit to say that the new exam that comes, I'll pray for them. I'll stand with them. I'll encourage them. I will tell them, when they're doing right, when they're not doing right, I will tell them. But bottom line, I'm going to support them. And I'm going to stand with them because I know that it is a blessing for them to lead us, and it is an effort they are putting to lead us. So may you make a commitment to be a blessing to the leaders and join others to make our leaders even better. But number 3 is that I want to challenge us to seek opportunities to lead. Seek opportunities to lead. Don't just only grow. Don't just commit to grow, to read a book, to get a mentor. Don't just commit to support the leaders here, but commit to look for leadership opportunities. I think that Christian Union, you don't come and sign up and then say, by the way, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying that there's a lot of leadership opportunities. A lot of them. You can be here building Alpha, you can be back in your local church, it can be in your family, it can be in your society, it can be wherever. But I want to challenge you this morning that could you leave this sermon saying, from this service saying, I want to do something. I want to appreciate that people, leadership starts from somewhere. Leadership, before you become the chair of the CU, you may have problem become the CU, the Bible is that the leader somewhere, a committee leader somewhere, going on. If you are here and you are desiring to be a politician, don't start dreaming too high. Start influencing your start influencing conversation back in the village. But lastly is that I want to invite us to commit to keep our leaders accountable. Not only to support them, but to keep them accountable. If need be, and you have to ask our leaders difficult questions, please feel free to ask them and be willing to ask them if that's the best thing they could have done. And I know I'm raising this because on 4th of November, you have an AGM. Feel free to actually make the scene better by raising the question. I don't think the executive will feel intimidated. They will answer that, but even the next leadership that comes, don't wait for the AGM to call the leadership to action on some things. Please be free and willing to raise those objections. I want to say that may the Lord bless us. May the Lord cause us to respond positively on matters of leadership. I want to tell you that there are so many leaders and so little leadership. May God challenge us this morning to respond positively on the issue of leadership. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we are grateful that as you have reflected together on the issues of leadership, we know that you desire us to respond positively in this sermon. I pray that, dear Lord, amongst our dear students this morning, that there will be some who will say that I will read a book, I will get on it, I will grow somewhere of leadership. The Lord, there is anyone here to whom you are placing a burden to lead in their family, in their local church, here in the city, in the society, or maybe they are courageous enough to respond positively to leadership of God. Those who are desiring to have you lead them to people who can mentor them and people they can mentor and encourage them, gracious Savior. I pray may also that be possible for them. It is in Jesus' name that we pray just Amen. We have enjoyed being at SEKUCU. It's a wonderful place to be. I know that I can come another time. Hallelujah. Maybe next leadership of this year, when invited, I don't like